Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you're one of the, well, millions of people folding AI chatbots into your daily routine, this one is definitely for you. We're all using these tools constantly, right? Maybe asking about health stuff, pasting a draft pitch, or maybe just venting after a rough Monday, typing things you'd never put in an email. We tend to treat them like these super capable, super private assistants. But, well, the privacy we expect, it's just not what's delivered by default. Not usually. Today, we're cracking open the findings from a recent Stanford study, and it paints a pretty blunt picture. Your most candid chat data, in most cases, it's being fed right back into the system, used to train the next version of the AI.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. We want to give you the straight story. What is collected? How long do they keep it? Why does that time equal risk? And most importantly, we've boiled down the key findings into basically an actionable 4-step checklist. This is about how you can lock down your chat data without needing a law degree to read those confusing policies.
Right. So data privacy with AI isn't just some, theoretical thing to debate anymore. It's become a practical skill. We need to know where the switches are buried. Okay, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. So the core finding from the Stanford team, they looked at Google, OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and Anthropic. It was pretty much unanimous. All 6 seem to use your chat data to train their models. And crucially, they do this by default. And this all hinges on that key difference. Opt-in versus opt-out. Opt-in means the company needs your clear yes, your permission before using your chat history for training. Opt-out, that flips the whole thing. The burden is on you. If you sign up, start chatting, and, well, do nothing else, your data's in the training pool. It really reframes it, doesn't it? It means AI data privacy is basically a settings problem, much more than a policy problem. That little toggle switch is key.
Yeah, and I think the reason lots of us miss this, myself included, is it almost feels like designed confusion. The study pointed out how these key facts are rarely just in one spot. They're scattered, right, across main privacy policies, then maybe some product sub-policy, and then buried 3 clicks deep in some FAQ.
Yeah.
It feels less like informing people and more like sending them on a scavenger hunt. Yeah. Which naturally leads to more accidental sharing. The harder it is to find the off switch, the more data people just sort of hand over without realizing. Why do that? Why scatter it?
Well, the rationale is probably convenience, frankly, for the company. Yeah. Collecting more data easily lets them iterate faster on their models. They kind of rely on us, the users, operating on friction. Like, we're not going to spend 10 minutes digging for a setting if we didn't even know it existed in the first place. That scattering, it makes our consent feel, well, less meaningful. So let's dig into what actually gets collected, because it's broader than just the words you type. The source identified 4 main categories of data that developers say they might train on. First, obviously, your chat inputs and outputs, the conversation itself. That makes sense. Second, and this is really important, uploaded content.
Uploaded content.
Yeah, documents, screenshots, images, any files you attach to give the AI context.
Wait, hold on. So that sensitive budget spreadsheet I uploaded yesterday just to get a quick summary, that could be training data?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Depending on the service and your settings.
Yeah.
Third, they might collect other product data. Some big companies explicitly reserve the right to pull data from their wider ecosystem if you're logged in. So maybe data from your cloud storage or other services they own to help train or personalize the chatbot experience. And fourth, this one is interesting because it happens so naturally. Sensitive information.
How so?
Think health details, financial stuff, maybe even biometric info that just comes up in casual conversation. The source used a great example. You'd type something like, "Ugh, my fasting glucose is high this week." Just that one casual sentence, it lets the model infer medical risk. And that feels, much more revealing than filling out some structured medical form.
That context creep. Yeah, that's unnerving. So the collection is wide-ranging, huge amounts. But maybe if they delete it quickly, the risk is sort of contained. What did the study find about how long they keep this stuff?
That's where it gets really interesting, as you say, or maybe concerning. The forever archive risk. We found that some developers state they retain chat data for very long periods, and sometimes even indefinitely.
Indefinitely. Wow.
Yeah. And indefinite retention, that's a huge risk multiplier. It changes the whole game. Think about it. First, the security blast radius. Imagine these huge long-term archives of personal dialogues. Years of vulnerabilities, habits, secrets, all stored together. They become incredibly valuable targets for attackers, much more than just an email list.
Right, makes sense.
Second, it allows for long-term profiling. The AI isn't just answering one question. It's building a detailed sketch of you over time. Your beliefs, maybe political leanings, vulnerabilities, spending habits. It gets incredibly detailed the longer they hold the data.
Okay. And you mentioned a third point.
Yes. Erasure friction.
Right.
This is a big one. Let's say a year from now, you decide, I want all my data gone.
Yeah.
You want that right to be forgotten. How effective is that right if your information has already been, baked into the very structure of a massive AI model that's constantly being updated? Can they truly get it out?
Can they?
Well, that's where it gets technically very difficult. The study notes that once data is used for training, surgically removing just your bits without potentially harming the whole model is really, really hard, maybe impossible in some cases. It basically erodes the spirit of that right to be forgotten. Time compounds the risk, and keeping it long-term makes true erasure much harder.
Got it.
And there's another angle, too. The humans in the loop finding.
Yes, the worry about actual people reading our chats.
Exactly. And it's not an unfounded fear. The study confirmed human reviewers might read chats. Usually, it's to improve the system, check for issues, analyze sensitive outputs, that sort of thing. Now, companies talk about de-identification, trying to strip out personal details. But the source rightly points out that conversational context mentioning your specific job or city or a unique project name can sometimes make re-identification easier than you'd think.
So the takeaway is,
For really sensitive topics, the practical advice has to be, just assume a human could potentially see it. Act accordingly.
that definitely raises the stakes. And it brings up another really sensitive point the study highlighted: kids and teens. Several platforms allow minors, specifically 13 to 18-year-olds, to use their chatbots. And often their data can also be used for training. But the study makes a strong ethical point. Can a minor really give meaningful consent to handing over years of potentially intimate, evolving thoughts and conversations? Data that could be incredibly revealing later in life. It feels like a huge ethical burden on kids.
It absolutely is. And alongside that ethical minefield, we're seeing this clear two-tier system of protection emerge. The source called it the enterprise reality.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, business customers, companies paying premium rates for enterprise versions, they usually get their data excluded from model training by default. It's kept separate, more protected.
But regular consumers
Often don't get that same default protection. So a company's internal strategy discussion might be safer than your personal chat about, say, anxiety or a relationship issue.
So the corporate memo gets better protection than the personal event.
In many default scenarios, yes. It essentially offloads the risk and the burden of checking settings onto individual users who might be discussing far more personal things.
We looked at that study at a glance, snapshot from the source material, and yeah, it really shows this permissive default. It's like a quick cheat sheet. You see Anthropic, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, all listed as training on chat input by default.
Right.
Amazon was marked not specified, and the warning there was clear. Treat uncertainty as a risk. Assume they might be using it unless they explicitly say otherwise.
And it goes further. The study also noted Google, Meta, and Microsoft specifically say they use user-uploaded documents for training, and that they use platform data from other products in their ecosystems too.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're in their world, your data can travel pretty far by default. The assumption has to be they're probably using it unless you actively tell them not to.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Let's turn this into action, because this is the crucial part. This source gave us a really practical checklist, a 4-step quick migration guide we can use right now.
Exactly. This is where you can make the biggest difference to your own data exposure. Step 1, find and use the opt-out. This is number 1, the most important thing. You have to proactively go looking for that setting. It might be under privacy or data controls, maybe a chat history section. Find the switch that says something like, don't use my content to improve models, or similar. Flip it off. And hey, if you use an enterprise account at work, double-check those settings too. Sometimes they're project-specific.
Okay, find the main switch. Got it. Step 2. Use temporary or incognito chats. Most major platforms now offer this, a mode where the chat isn't saved to your main history.
Right. And crucially, these temporary chats are usually deleted much sooner and aren't used for training.
So use this for anything sensitive.
Definitely, especially if you're pasting unique documents like a personal email draft or some proprietary notes. Use that temporary mode. Step 3, practice mindful sharing. This is more of a habit change. It stems from that idea that a reviewer, or worst case, an attacker, might see the chat someday. I actually caught myself last week. Almost pasted a full internal memo.
Yeah.
Paused.
And instead,
Summarized the key points. Changed all the internal project names to generic ones. Stuff like that.
right, the simple rule: don't type anything you wouldn't want leaked online. Redact names, scrub specific addresses or numbers. Summarize instead of pasting raw sensitive files. Small changes that don't stop the AI helping, but cut your risk way down.
Exactly. And finally, step 4, delete your history on a schedule. Don't just rely on the opt-out. Actively reduce the amount of data stored about you. Set a reminder in your calendar, maybe quarterly. Go in and bulk delete old conversations and any uploaded files associated with them.
Or delete right after a sensitive chat.
Yeah, if your service allows per thread deletion, use it right after you're done with something sensitive. Less data stored means a smaller target today and tomorrow.
Okay, 4 clear steps. Find the opt-out, use temporary modes, share mindfully, and delete history. The underlying idea here, as the source put it, is kind of poetic. These AIs are like mirrors with memory. We want them to understand us well enough to be useful, truly helpful. But there's this huge tension, right? We don't want to be exhaustively known. Not like that.
That captures it perfectly. And the only way through that tension, really, is clarity. Clear settings from the companies, clear boundaries, and clear practical actions from you to change the default settings and habits.
So let's hit the headline one last time. The industry standard today is permissive collection and training by default. Your move.
Yeah.
Flip the switches in the settings, trim down your chat history regularly, and just think for a second before you paste sensitive stuff. That's how you start taking back control.
And that leads us perfectly into the final provocative thought for you to chew on. The source actually suggests that AI builders should default to opt in for training data. They argue it would build trust. And that trust could actually speed up adoption in the long run, maybe even become a competitive advantage, transparency as a feature.
Interesting idea.
So if we assume that the underlying incentive is always towards gathering more data, what does the industry's continued reliance on this, frankly, less user-friendly opt-out default tell us? What does it suggest about how they truly weigh consumer trust versus the immediate convenience of just maximizing data capture?
Something to think about next time you're digging through those settings menus.
Definitely something to think about.